Already know what it is. Yo, just gives it's like yo. I wonder if this like gives me anxiety to know like because it's flipped and I can't see it. But I think we should be.
I prefer this.
Okay.
I stare at myself, you know.
Yeah. All right. You already know what it is. It's your boy Donne Colioni. Yo, if you want to log into your YouTube just so I can see.
Get that. How it looks?
Yeah. Yeah. I try to move it a little bit.
Yeah, more towards that way. Mm-hmm.
I try to move it a little bit.
Yeah, more towards that way. A little bit more.
I try to move it a little bit.
Yeah, more towards.
It's like 2 seconds behind.
That's pretty good.
Bet.
Let's go down.
All right.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Sorry guys, we just have to get that angle in there. So yeah, it's your boy Donne Colioni. You already know what it is. We're back with another podcast. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Without further ado, let's waste no time. Let's jump into this interview. So today I have with me
Mathieu
from Rebirth. You already know what it is. So let's jump into. So tell people who you are and like what you do.
Well, I'm a design student. I'm graduating this year, April, so in 1 month. Branding, graphic design, web design, and I have a fashion brand called Rebirth, which is like focused on like luxury and lifestyle. It's really generic, something that everyone would say, but like I'm actually that's exactly what I'm doing. So for the lifestyle part, I work with like local artists and musicians in different genres, and I work with them with music videos, photo shoots, collaborations, and then I'm doing a fashion show now. So I'm now elevating my brand and positioning it as a luxury brand with my first couture collection. That runway is on April 22nd, 6 p.m. Tickets are $10. You got no excuses.
Yeah, $10. No
Yeah.
excuses. You already know what it
So that's
is.
my first big event, and the luxury part is the couture. Then even the ready-to-wear pieces like the hoodies and sweatshirts are really really nice. I make sure to choose like products that are expensive, but they're really nice. Like the shirt is made out of like combed ring spun cotton. That shit feels like silk.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's jump into like so you also do web design, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So which came first, the fashion or the web design?
Neither. The
You
graphic design.
Oh, the graphic design. Okay, let's
Yeah.
jump into that. So how did you get into the graphic design? Like when did that start?
I sketched my whole life.
Okay.
And in grade 10, 11, I started getting into like graffiti. I would like sketch like lettering. I got good at that. I was like, well, I have the skill. How do I translate it into something useful? You know. And I saw a lot of people who did lettering design became graphic designers. So I went to a new school, J.H. Picard, grade 11, and I did this class called CTS, and you can just teach yourself whatever you want. So I chose graphic design, taught myself, and I like got nominated for an award for like this poster I made. And I was like, damn, this is cool. So I just kept doing it. After I graduated, I found an internship for free, and then I actually stopped a couple years off.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Why'd you stop? Was it just like
I don't know. It was a bad time in my life. I stopped, but I knew I was always going to come back. I didn't know when. And then I started going back to school, and then I've been all in since then.
Okay. So you started with the graphic design, you've been sketching your whole life. So then what came next? Was it the web design that came after, or was it the fashion stuff?
The fashion stuff was last. So I started with graphic design. My first my first program was like a certificate. So I learned the print side, and it was really intense. And that's like it was like I did everything. So every project was different. CDs, posters, billboards. I think it was like basic web stuff. Then I got really into UI UX, which is really big now. But I got into it like right at the peak or before the peak. And so I started like using Figma and all the UI stuff. And I loved that. I was like, man, and then the UX designers make like 100K. And I was like, okay, I can make money in this. And then I just kind of moved on from that. I think I just went back to graphic design. I was like, okay, well, let's see where it goes, you know. Then I went and I got a diploma.
Okay.
That's what I'm finishing now. So the certificate is like more production focused. So you learn in the technical side,
Okay.
and it's print, and then they have a diploma that's more digital. So then I took the diploma, and in the past 2 years I've just been grinding, like 14 hours a day, like
On the
nonstop.
internship?
No, on design.
On design? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I eat. I When I'm sleeping, I think about this. When I
That
wake up, the first thing is just design.
design.
It's my dream.
Damn. So
Yeah,
you really gotta love this stuff,
but
man.
it's my. I would rather have nothing else. It's my shit.
Than just
Yeah,
like create. So
yeah,
you've just really been into like creating stuff. Okay.
yeah.
So then the fashion aspect,
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that. After that, so
that came in later. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
so that started. Okay, after my first year, my first certificate, I got an internship. It was for an entrepreneur,
Okay.
and he had two businesses. Um, he owned a construction company, and he was owning a bakery.
Oh,
And
okay.
he showed me the business side. So I did the design for the bakery, and I like did the website. I have a build like I have a sign that I designed that is now up in real life. It was cool. I figured out the blueprints and all that shit. It was cool. And then he showed me the business side in the back, and I was like, well, there's so much more that goes into a business and how design fits into that business. And I love that because like as I'm learning design, I kept going for more. And so what I love about design is design plays a big part in marketing and business and psychology and strategy. So there's like all these industries that are really like connected. And so he showed me the business strategy side. And so I'm like, oh, I want to start my own thing. Then I met a friend an old friend from Fag Antoine, it was like my elementary school.
Okay.
And he wanted to start this luxury belt thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to make a luxury belt. I'm like, hey man, let's do a clothing brand. Let's take it to the next level. You know? He's like, sure. We started that, and I loved it. It was so fun. It was so fun. And then we had a falling out, but I knew I really wanted to do something in like the fashion scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember being really sick one day, and I was just reading articles on the fashion scene all day long. Like I was exhausted, but I'm like I just want to read. And so I was like it's like market studies from like McKinsey on the behavior of people buying clothes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like all in. I just loved it. So I like started watching only YouTube videos about fashion. All my algorithm on Instagram is only fashion.
Fashion.
I was like all in, and I was like, okay, when school ends, I'm gonna start my own clothing brand with my own vision. And I'm like, okay, let's do that. So I focused on school because that was like December. So COVID, like that was like during COVID too. So I came back, because I went to Miami,
Damn.
right? Because I'm also been working on a crypto as the creative director.
Okay.
So I came back, and then I was like, finished school. Right when school was ending, I started working on my brand, and I didn't go live until August because I wanted to build like the best brand that I could. So I took 4 months. You know, if all these clients give you like 3 weeks, for my own brand, I took 4 months, just creating.
Damn.
4 months.
You didn't like show anybody anything.
I show my friends like once in a while. I'll like get to a point where I'm like, I like where it is, but I don't know. It's like a fork in the road, and I'm like, I wonder what my friends think, as just like some other piece of advice, you know. So it was like with the concept, like even Rebirth has like everything. So for me, my design philosophy is meaning and intention. So every decision that I make is considered. Every small thing. You go on my feed, every little thing is considered. I plan my posts like 12 at a time. I have the next like 12 posts planned. I have the whole grid planned. Everything is considered. Every single thing. Um, so when I was wanting to pick a name, I wanted to pick a name that like really had meaning for my life. And so what like I looked into my life and what I've been through, and I've like recreated myself throughout my life. I never let the past hold me back. So that was something that rang true throughout my whole life. And so that's why I chose Rebirth, because that's a message that I found on my own, and I want to share with others, because it's kind of I went through really bad shit in high school, like and even before that, like I was bullied for most of what I can remember in school, but I never let that hold me back. And I know a lot of people that let their past hold them back. So I want to create something bigger than myself so I can share those experiences and that story with those people and inspire them to do the same.
Okay.
So that's what Rebirth
recreating
means.
yourself.
Yeah.
You ever read 48 Laws of Power?
No.
Oh, never. Okay, because like there's a chapter in that book that says it's about like recreate yourself, and so I was like, okay, like that kind of ties into, because in the book it talks, the chapter recreate yourself. It's like, society tries to put roles on you, tries to force an identity on you, but in the chapter it talks about fighting through that.
Amen. Oh man, I have so talk about this for hours. I've thought about this so freaking much. Like I keep telling people like little things. I'm like, oh, this changed like everything. But there's like so many things. It wasn't one thing, but letting myself let go of the expectations of other people, like not caring what other people think.
Yeah.
I feel like the most free I've ever felt. So it's like I don't care if I fail. Like I don't care what people think.
Mhm.
Like if I do a presentation in front of my class and I fail, it's like, well, I'm still gonna be alive,
Yeah.
right? And
So
it's like freeing to like not have to worry about how I'm being perceived.
mhm. That's key. I feel like, yeah, definitely, like, you just can't, like, especially when you're, like, a creative, you're doing something creative, like, you can't really care about what people think, because like, if you care, it just kinda, it can't, I don't know what's the word I'm thinking. What is the word I'm trying to think of? Like, it holds you back. It actually holds you back when you
Mm,
care, like,
mm,
because you're gonna be worried about what other people are thinking, and then you're gonna think, "Oh, I gotta move this way. I gotta do this, that." And then it doesn't become genuine anymore because you're just worried about what other people are thinking.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's something like I think every artist struggles with. It's a journey that they all have to take.
yeah. Once they get past that, like, hurdle of, like, caring what people think, like, I feel that, man. Like, I remember, like, in high school, I used to really care, like, a lot.
Mm,
And it would just be like, just like little things, you know what I mean? But over after, like, once I graduated high school, that's when I feel like that, I don't know, I feel like it's a trend for like a lot of people to kind of be like, okay, like, I don't care anymore what people think. But like that was the journey for me, at least. Like after high school, that's when I was kind of like, okay, like, I don't care. Like,
mm.
you know what I mean? Like, if I cared, I wouldn't be on YouTube right now making this video. Yeah. But I was gonna ask you, so like, you kind of already answered that question. So basically, when it comes to, yeah, let's just jump into like the
I
logistics of the rebirth
I do
style.
that. I do that. I had
What?
another interview at my school,
Yeah.
and it was with the the magazine.
Mhm.
And I she asked me one question. My answer was like 15 minutes, and she's like, "You answered all the other questions." I was like,
Yeah.
"Damn, okay, my bad." You asked me about the logistics
Yeah, like, so basically, when it comes to like rebirth and stuff, like, what did you have any inspiration for, like, the style of it, of like, you know what I mean?
or the aesthetics.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah, actually, I was inspired. The marble came from Miami, but it has a lot of meaning in it. Like, for me, like I said before,
Mm,
everything has meaning, but the meaning usually comes before. Like I connect things, but
okay.
the marble just kind of stood out to me.
The marble. What do you mean by the marble?
The marble mark. Have you seen it? No? Damn. Okay.
The marble
Yeah, I'll
mark.
show you. I'll show you. So the marble on the back of the shirt, see? It's like key to like the hoodies as well. This doesn't even show it, but so this is like that's the marble.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then on the shirts I have it on the back,
Okay.
and then on the hoodies here. So it's on the front, then it's on the back like that. See?
Okay.
And it's like a key part of the brand because I don't like. I'm starting with the logo. That's
Okay.
like the key mark, but I want to change that mark to the marble. And so just showing the marble is like identifies it as rebirth.
Mm,
But like yeah, so right now I'm like working on simplifying it, so making it into a logo, and so it's not just color.
okay. So
Yeah,
you're the brand is still evolving. Like, you're still kind of
I
like,
have like a 10-year vision for it.
oh wow, like you
Yeah,
wrote it down and
I
everything. And
have it already. Like I
okay.
planned this from the beginning
Yeah.
because like I want to like innovate on what branding is. So I'm like, how far can I push this brand, and what are the key elements that need to stay for the brand recognition to stay? Like how far can I push it before it loses itself? Um, but I have like a bigger plan, but I'll share that in another podcast.
Okay.
Like I have like it's like like a 10-year vision for how the brand's gonna evolve.
I like that. I like that. It's crazy because not a lot of people actually put like effort, like the way like you were talking about it, like you're planning and stuff like that. Like a lot of people,
Mhm.
they'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna start a clothing brand today, but I don't have a full vision for it. I'm just gonna. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, congratulations for starting, but like, eventually you're gonna need like exactly like how you're talking about, like a plan. Like some people, they kind of just be like, I'm just gonna do this thing, right? And then they jump right into it, right? And then they end up like, because they don't have a plan, they end up quitting because they're like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm not. Then they're just kind of like going with the motions and stuff. Like, I feel like, yeah, definitely like having a plan and like, and a vision for it. Like that's something that not a lot of people do.
Thank you.
Yeah, like I'm actually kind of impressed, low key. I
Thank
like
you.
like high key, because like a lot of people, when they talk about like stuff like this, like they don't really have like a plan. It's just kind of, well, I'm just gonna do this thing, and I don't know, like maybe it happens and happens. You know what I mean? It's just
Some
like,
of it is like that. I'm like, I'm gonna go to all these events. We'll see what happens. I
yeah.
don't know what's gonna
Don't get
happen.
me wrong. Like in the beginning, I feel like I think it's just get stages to it, right? Like I feel like in the beginning, like yeah, like you got to go through that kind of okay. Let me just try it out and just see what happens, right? Try it out, trial and error. But then I think eventually it gets to a point where you kind of have to start being like for example, like with your journey, like you talked about how like we just go places and we figure stuff out. But then once you're like, okay, here's where I'm going, here's the road I'm going. Now let me start planning. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you know what I'm trying to say, like
Yeah.
in stages.
Well, I guess I can tell you what I did plan.
Mm.
From day one, before day one, I wanted to do couture and luxury.
Couture with
Couture is like custom. So like as my
okay.
tailor working on custom pieces where
Mhm.
like the patterns. Are you
Okay.
familiar with what that means? So how your clothes are made is like a box of fabric. So just like a square. And then like the chest piece is like a shape. So it's just different shapes and they cut the shapes out and then they sew the shapes together and then it makes a shirt.
Mm.
And so each shape is called a pattern. And so having with clothes you buy at the store, they make one pattern and then they make 400,000 of those shirts and they bring it to every Zara, right? But couture or high fashion is the designer is making one item. There's only one of that shirt, and it's a custom sizing for that custom context, for that custom person or the custom collection, right? For a collection, a designer can make have the sizing specific to the collection where it fits the theme, or there's like men's fashion designers that like an actual tailor who tailor the jacket to your size, and so that's the benefit of it is I can make the size that I think is missing in the scene, right?
Mm.
That fits the pieces I'm trying to make in the collection and the vibe I'm trying to create, right? Um, what was I gonna tell you? Oh yeah, like I wanted to do custom the whole time. I wanted to do luxury from day one, but I knew that wasn't. I could start it from day one, but I didn't want to. I wanted to be smart with the money, so I started with like ready to wear and hoodies and and t-shirts, right?
Mhm.
And when I started to tell people I'm doing a runway, they would look at me and be like, "Not with t-shirts." It's like, well, yeah, no shit. People can do that, but it's kind of like a reminder to me that like people don't actually know what I'm doing. Like they people just see for who you
For
see
what you
you
portray.
exactly. They see you as this is like who you are right now is exactly who you are and you'll never change. People are really literal that way. But it's like I never
Mm.
even wanted to do t-shirts in the first place, but I knew that that's how I needed to start.
Mhm.
And so people are like, oh, like they didn't even know, and that's okay because like they'll learn,
Yeah.
right? Like their perception of what my brand was 2 months ago, my brand is different now,
Mhm.
and they'll just figure it out as they go. And so like from the beginning, I knew what I wanted to do, and I just moved up that way. And
Mhm.
so part of it was like, okay, I need to get what scene do I want to get into? How do I get into that scene? Music scene. I found someone. I found the Cut on White on Instagram. DM them, started pulling up.
Mhm.
Brought a camera. That was the luck thing.
Mhm.
I was getting into photography, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna come and like shoot so I can practice.
Mhm.
Then I'll take pictures of the artists and walk up to them and be like, hey, check this out, give them a free photo. That's easy icebreaker. Now we're talking. Now we're
Mhm.
friends. And I'm like, this shit is fucking smart as hell. And so I go to every event, take pictures of them. Now I'm like talking to every artist,
Mhm.
and that my shots happen to be really good. So I liked it. So I kept doing that, kept doing that, kept doing that.
Mhm.
And then I got an opportunity to do a music video. Then I did that. So I just kept going. If there's an event, I'm there.
Interesting.
If I see like I'm always looking, so I go on the story, see a concert, buy tickets, I'm in.
I like those two things you said. The first thing I want to address there is when you talked about, which was really crazy, is that when people first see you, they'll see like they what you portray, and it's just like, but and like you said, it's okay. Like you know what I mean. Like they'll only see you for like what you're showing them in that moment. You know what I mean? For example, like they don't know your 10-year plan. So when they see you now, they'll be like, okay, this guy just does this, but they'll be like, oh shit, he does this. It's kind of like that element of surprise there, which I think is interesting. Definitely like I like what you said there. And then the second thing I like what you said too with which kind of jumps into my next question was goes into like networking and like what tips would you have for like networking and stuff?
Just making friends, man.
Just making friends?
That's what I do. I just go up and I'm like, hey, yo, what's up? Like, well, where are you from? What school do you go to? And you start talking to them like that they're a normal person. Like
Mm,
people have this broken perception of business is like you're just making friends, and then those friends end up helping you out in life eventually.
eventually, yeah.
It's literally just friends. Like I ask my friends for favors. You ask these friends for favors, and then who happen to be artists or who happen to be investors.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing.
People think it's like some next, like, I gotta calculate, I gotta shake his hand at this 90-degree angle and make sure he's right in the position.
Bro, it's like they're just us. I've talked to so many CEOs and they're just like, success is so relative and slow. Like when you achieve it, it doesn't feel like success.
Okay.
And so, like, if for me, I've like 2 years ago, the old me would have looked at me right now and be like, "Holy shit!" But right now, I feel like, "Oh, this is normal," you know.
Yeah.
And if I feel that, imagine being like a billionaire or a millionaire. Not if you're like born into the money, but if you like worked for it.
Okay.
The growth is so slow that when you get to it, it's just kind of like doesn't feel as amazing, you know? Because
Really?
it's like working out.
Okay.
There are so many lessons from the gym that apply to real life.
Yeah.
There are so many fucking like Zach Perna, bodybuilder in the gym.
Okay.
He talked about how he always wanted a specific muscle. He's like, I want to look like that guy. Then when he got to that guy, he was already like looking at the next guy. He was never happy. And the lesson he wanted to teach all of the people that are watching him is like, enjoy the journey, be happy where you are now, or else you'll never be happy. You're always trying to get to the next thing. It's like, oh, I want my muscles to look like that. And then you work on it for like a year, and by that time you like have already focused on something else. It's like, oh, I want the car, I want the house, and you'll never be happy. You gotta be happy now with what you have now. I don't have the perfect car, but I have a car that gets me from point A to point B, and it never has issues. It starts all the time. I could like, and I see Audi, I'm like, damn, I shot Audi. It's like, I have a car. Like, it's like shit like that, where it's like, oh, it's like my first fashion show, and it's like, oh, like when I say success is relative, there's so many levels to what that means. There's so many levels to what that means. Here's an example. Like Jerry Lorenzo, any of these big designers that do collabs with Nike, they don't get paid. Rihanna, she did her halftime show, Super Bowl. She didn't get paid for that. Yeah, you think it's like all glamorous. No. Like the higher you go, the less they pay you because it's like, oh, because you have Nike on your resume, like that, you're gonna get all these clients, and we know that, so we're just not gonna pay you, right? With the runway, it's not like this runway is perfect. 90% of what I'm doing is like project management, dealing with people. Like everything is behind schedule for me right now. It's in 1 week, 1.5 weeks. Everything is behind. There's nothing that's on schedule right now. So it's hard when you have all that shit to deal with. It's hard to enjoy it. So that's why I say success is relative. Is because when you are in the moment that you thought you'd be successful, you don't even notice it because there's so much other shit you're dealing with that you don't even like realize that this is actually what you dreamed of, and you're there now. But you're so like, I wake up every day. I have like 15 things I gotta do, and I'm always behind, always late. If I let myself get carried by that, I will never be happy. Because it's like, oh, I wake up, I gotta do this. For like today, if I got stuck in like 25-minute traffic, it would fuck up the entire schedule. Like, okay, I need to leave at this time I had to go south side to drop off some stuff. Then I had to go to Whiteout to pick up some stuff. Then I go to downtown to come here. And then I'm going to talk to my tailor afterwards, right? Yesterday was like the same thing, where it's like I have like 5 different things. I had a class presentation, so I had to go pick up stuff from the store, go to another store, then go to the presentation, then go somewhere else. And it's like I have all these things I need to do on top of all my classes, and it's like the constant stress. It's not stress. I don't like, words are really important to me, but it's like always having things to do. If you let yourself get carried by that, then you'll never be happy, and you'll never like realize what you've actually achieved. So every day I try to take time to be like look at where I'm at now. Like 2 years ago, I dreamed of being where I am today, but you don't like realize it because it was so slow. It wasn't like I just woke up one day and then I was like, oh, here's a runway, here's a clothing brand. It's like every day, and it's like, this is not working, and even the brand is like not as good as I wanted it to be in like multiple ways. And so that's life. But the gym teaches you all of that.
That's facts. Like I could even say, like, as a guy that goes to the gym, like I've experienced that because I wanted to look like Michael B. Jordan, right? I'm not even trying to gas myself. Like I low-key got there, and then I went through a phase where I was like, what now? You know what I mean? Like, because I remember like I used to be like super scrawny, and then I got to the point where I'm like big, and I'm like, what now? Like I kind of just like, I'm still looking in that phase where I'm like, now I'm trying to figure out where to go from here, but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, like you said, you got to appreciate your progress, and like, appreciate that where you are now is where you dreamt of being back when you were like, how do I say it? Younger, I guess you would say. Yeah, that's definitely I didn't think that's crazy. Like I really didn't think about it like that. Like even just in general, like in life, like where you are is like where you dreamed of being. Just crazy.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like yeah, I never thought about it like that. Like especially like when you know those billionaires that started up from nothing and now they're something and it's just like, yo, like these guys are now, you know what I mean? Like they might even take it for granted too, just because like they, you know what I mean? They grinded for
It's
it.
like when you buy a new phone and it's really cool for a week and then you get used to it.
Yeah,
That's like buying an Audi. You're gonna buy an Audi and then after like a year you'll be like looking at the Ferrari, be like, damn, I want that.
Yeah.
And you're in the same position as me. You're in the Audi. I'm in the Nissan Sentra 2004. We're both having the same thought about the next car.
Mhm.
We're like in perception wise, we're in the same position. Like where are you actually going? You know, it's like in this cycle.
Mhm.
And thing about money is that your purchasing expands with your wealth.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So people that are billionaires, people that are millionaires, like there are quite a few people that don't live like millionaires. They don't have the savings, or they spend more, they maximizing all the money that they have, and then they're not actually happy because they're always in debt,
Mhm.
right? So I was where I was going with that, but I was watching this guy called ALEX HORMOZI. I don't know if you watched it.
Yeah, bro, I
Okay,
just started watching
he
Alex.
talked
I was
about that
watching him
shit.
before I came here actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he talks about that shit. And I was like, damn, like shit. He said it way better than I did. Like that's
Mhm.
not my expertise, is not finances. I'm learning about that,
Mhm.
but yeah, he's good.
He's good. Yeah, I was literally watching him yesterday. Like I watched two podcasts he was on. He was on Chris Williamson's podcast.
He's popping off.
Yeah, like he's just smart guy. Like he's definitely yeah, super relatable guy, especially in the entrepreneurial kind of space.
Mm.
Next question I have for you though, let's see. So we talked about like where you got the aesthetics and stuff from. Um, yeah, you answered a lot of these questions. It's crazy. I was just looking through, but this guy answered a lot of them. Um, so like, yeah, what is like the process like of like creating like a brand, like clothing wise? Like, is it like how do you go about it? Like what I'm asking is like, how does it work? Like, do you have like a printing press thingy or like a, you know what I mean? Like, how does it work? Like, what's the magic? Like, how does it?
The design process
Yeah.
or the creating of a garment?
Let's start with the creating of garment process.
Okay, like how shirts are made.
Yeah.
Well, if you're buying a lot of brands, they start with like t-shirts and hoodies. You're buying that in bulk from a manufacturer,
Okay.
from wherever you choose,
Mhm.
and then either you can get the manufacturer or someone to print it for you. So it's like on a printing press, just like you said,
Mhm.
or you can do it yourself with a heat press. There's like vinyl. There's like so many different ways to put ink on a shirt.
Mhm.
There's embroidery. There's like embossing. It's like endless.
Mhm.
So that's like as much as you can dream. You know, depends how much money you have, but you can do whatever you want, right?
Mhm.
I don't know if that answers your question for that, but like the design process for me is way more fun than that.
Oh,
I've
okay.
always like my goal is to become the next Virgil Abloh.
Virtual art.
Yeah, and like in the way that you know Virgil.
I've heard of that name.
Okay,
Yeah.
he's really successful designer. He worked with Louis Vuitton.
Okay.
He
Yeah. I
started.
know Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, he started off white, but the thing that I like about him is that his legacy transcended his life. Even though he died, he still inspired me with the content that he shared and the information that he shared about it. And when I watch his proteges, they share similar experiences to what he did, but they share it like as an ego. Like, look how cool I am. I'm better than you. But he shared it like, this is what I did. This is what I learned from it. This is the mistakes I made, and I want to do that with my own thing,
Mhm.
right? So that's a tangent, but
No, that's good though. I like
with
that.
design process, it's really I love the concept. I want to be a creative director. So
Mhm.
I put so much work into the concept. So like Rebirth, it all starts with iteration. So I start off with like a mind map, right? So it's like, what's the vibe? Let's say I don't even know, and I'm like, I want to start a clothing brand. I just like know, I just like trust my brain, I guess. So I would start on Pinterest and be like, what images catch my eye? Well, how do I know what those images are? I just it's some level of just like trust. You like which one once catch your eye, you start to get a collection of pictures. You collect them together, and it's like, what is the consistent thread here, right? And then you start to get an idea, or you're like, you find a word that has meaning to you, like rebirth. Okay, well, what are the synonyms of rebirth? Let's get some visual words. You know how they say an image is like 1,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
When you're reading a book, you're visualizing that story in your head.
Mm-hmm.
When you're watching a movie, it's telling you what to see.
Mm-hmm.
I see that words do the same thing, right? Like an image is 1,000 words, but a word is like a word can be a story. Because what you make of it, because it's instead of having something to tell you what to see, it's at the extent of your imagination. So I played a lot with visual words that can mean a lot of things, right? So that's how I use it to start my creative process. Then from there I go into sketching and iteration, and you just playing. It's like being a kid. I'm just a kid, like every day, just like, oh, what if this? What about this? What about this? And I just sketch. I have an iPad, so I use Procreate. I get like a 60-inch by 60-inch page, and I filled that. And I have like 5 of them for Rebirth. So it's like 60. Like they're huge.
So the key is really just, I like what you said, that like remaining like childlike in a way, like letting the creative process.
What about this? What if this? You know, it's like same with this. Is like let's try it.
Let's try
There's no wrong answer.
Mix up and stuff,
Like the biggest thing is like when you're creating, there's no wrong answer. You have to have a phase where there's like no critical, don't criticize yourself, don't critically think, just like do.
Just do it.
Even if it's stupid, it's like just try it. Because
Mhm.
it'll lead somewhere good. And so you just keep playing.
So do you have like designated times for like where you like just go into this creative process and just like write stuff down, or is
I
it,
should, but no.
no, you're just kind of like
Yeah.
whenever you
This
feel
is this is getting more into complex like philosophy and psychology.
Mhm.
Like you have 2 different brains, like the subconscious and your conscious.
Yeah.
So when people get really into their flow, that's like when they're really connected to the subconscious, right?
Oh,
And so when you meditate, that's when you like, it's really complicated, but like that's when you can get like, you know, you get lots of ideas in the shower or at night.
Yeah.
That's like when you're the closest to the subconscious.
Mm.
Like Einstein and a bunch of those. This is actually cool. It's actually really cool.
Yeah.
I tried this and it works, but like they had a theory on like how to get closer to your subconscious. And what they would do is like when they were like trying to figure out something creatively, they would sit down, take a nap, hold keys above a bowl, and when they would fall asleep, they would drop it, hit the bowl, wake them up, and they'd get a ton of ideas.
Wait, so what you're saying is you,
Because you're on the edge, like when you're falling asleep.
okay.
Yeah, so when you're the closest to the subconscious, because you're going to sleep.
So before you fall asleep, the key drops.
Yeah, because it's like your hand just like when you go limp when you go to bed, right?
Right.
So what I did was instead of that, I went to bed. I visualized myself writing this paper.
Okay.
And I woke up at 2 a.m. and I like had a great idea and I wrote it down and I got like really good grade on it. And it was for the cinema class that I had no business getting a good grade in, and it works. And it's also with meditation. So if I have whenever I'm doing these really big campaigns and it's like really stressful and I have to get a really good idea. That's not how creativity works, but there's ways of understanding your brain and maximizing and like putting yourself in positions to be creative. And so you have to find what works for you. But there's definitely things like for me, I'll go on a walk, and having things come by your eyes puts you in the default state. So that's like your brain is like just present, and kind of just I let my brain just wander, and I'll get like some random things will pop into my mind and I'll write it down, and I just let it go, right? And that's when like the greatest ideas come. Same thing with Einstein. So it's people don't really understand, like science doesn't really understand it, but I know it works because I've seen it work. So I don't know what was
That's
going on.
crazy. That's nice though. I like what you said there where it's like you have to study, like for example, like you studied Virgil, Einstein. I think you said another name, I can't remember.
I'm just curious. I study everything and everyone.
Because like when you study all those guys, like they've been successful, so you're gonna take tips that they've done. So that's actually pretty smart that you're doing that.
Yeah, like who I am now is just a combination of all the people that I've met. You don't have to learn from the famous people because they get shit wrong too. But you meet someone and you see a quality in them that you admire or you look up to. Like, well, why do they have that quality? What does that quality look like? How do they act in that situation? And how you wish you acted? Then take that, start to act like that, learn from that, and then that's how you evolve. That's what I did. So that's the same thing with Einstein and Virgil. Is you watch people find things that you like and bring it into your own life.
Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely very like. Have you ever read a book called Mastery?
No.
Mastery.
I don't read that much.
You don't read that much?
No.
No, I mean I just do the audiobooks, like that's my thing. But Mastery, the book Mastery talks about like the same thing that you're kind of talking about. It's written by the same guy who written 48 Laws of Power. He wrote a book called Mastery. I didn't finish it. Like my attention span is like messed up. But I read, but the first half of the book is exactly what you're talking about, where like it's literally the book is just about like it talks about like people, like successful people, and how they like mastered their craft. And this is that exact same thing of like they gave themselves like the opportunity to be like creative, and they've like, you know what I mean? Like they really were obsessed with their craft, like they obsessed over it, and like, you know what I mean? Like they really focused on it. They found mentors and like stuff like that.
What does mastery mean to you?
Mastery? What does it mean to me? I think mastery is like, I guess just simplest is like mastering like a craft, like where you become like an expert in like a field.
What does an expert mean to you?
Someone who has been in the field for like a long time, someone who's like studied it. Like I feel like in order to master, this is what I think. So in order to master something, I think you need to like obsess over it for a long period of time, and then once you become like a quote unquote expert, you can kind of manipulate the variables.
But how do you become an expert? Like what does an expert mean?
What
So
is
you
it?
have to be there in a long time. But what if
Mhm.
I do it? What if I'm new
Mhm.
and you've been doing it for 10 years and I'm just as good as you? So is it only about the time? What
That's a good
is a
question.
master? What did he mean in that context? I have a point. Like we're gonna go somewhere, but I just want your answer first.
Let me think about it. Like where would like if a
What does that
guy,
mean? Like what's the definition? What is an expert?
an expert,
Or like a master? Like, let's do mastery. So
okay,
it's like the same thing, but
like a master's like
define it.
someone who's like mastered something, right? You know,
So
master.
that's like the same. A master is a master. You can't use master in the answer.
Oh shit. Okay, okay.
Yeah, because that
Okay.
doesn't really explain it. You know.
Someone who has, damn it, that's hard. Someone who has collected merit and completed
What does that mean? Collected merit.
like
Approval of others. Well, aren't all the smartest people like outcasts? So with that definition, then they're not masters.
I guess you would say like good at their thing, good at their craft.
What makes them good? Who says they're good?
Nah, I'm tripping, bro. Because basically, yeah, like they're good because I guess in a sense because they've gained merit from like other people, in a sense, and people have recognized that they bring value. I guess because they've. I'm trying to explain it without saying using the word bastard.
Like there's so many artists that don't design with what society thinks is okay or
Mhm.
acceptable, but they're amazing and they're masters of their own things.
Mhm.
So with that definition, that means that they're not masters. So if I choose a design style and I do it for the next 30 years,
Okay.
but society doesn't merit it, then am I not a master? Because society doesn't merit it? Is it what society thinks?
Hmm. Um, that's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
Well, isn't it about? Yeah, it's a hard one.
because like
Okay, I'll let you think, and I'll give you like I'm developing like a theory on generalism and specialism,
okay,
and so my first preamble is like everything is like a construct.
okay,
That sounds really weird. That does sound really weird, but like it's all perception.
okay.
What we think is good, and that changes over time. Like what clothes is in. That's always changing. Things change. Perception changes. What's cool, what's good, always changes. So with generalism and specialism, the thing is like, oh, you got to be a specialist, right? My bosses tell me to focus, be a specialist. What if I present myself to you as a specialist, but I'm a generalist? For example, they tell this all the time, the story. It's like, would you get a firefighter to do your plumbing?
No.
Exactly. But what if he never told you he was a firefighter? And he did your plumbing and he did an amazing job? It's all perception. At the end of the day, it's how well you do the fucking work. So it's like I can be whatever I want to be as long as I get the job done well. Who gives a shit who I am? And specialism versus generalism, like fuck that shit.
Okay.
Like seriously, like if you don't know that I'm a generalist and you think I'm a specialist, what difference does it make?
So you're saying
Within reason. Like I know doctors, someone's always going to be like, oh, doctor, engineer, within reason. I'm talking more about the creative field specifically.
Okay. So you're saying
But look, like, think about it. Like what is mastery then? If I do a quality of work and you're like, he's a master, and I'm like, actually, I'm not a master. I'm a generalist, but I could do certain things at a master's level, because the assumption for a master is a specialist. But what if I'm at that level, but I'm a generalist? Oh, I'm not a master because I don't specialize. Well, why does it matter?
So you're saying as long as you do the job well.
Because what's the most important part about being a master? Is it that you specialize, or is it actually doing the work at the end of the day?
I would say doing the work, right? No.
I would say so as well. I think that's the most, like, because at the end of the day, like, what does it matter if you can't do it? Like, I would assume every master is really good, but people
Mhm.
who aren't that specialists but do it at that same level, right?
Mhm.
Because I see the value in generalism.
I see.
Like,
What
as
would
you learn
yeah.
more about different industries, you start to see the patterns and the common threads between things, and it gives you insight, and it improves your craft or the thing that you're focusing on. They say T skills, that too, right? But like as a designer, it's not just graphic design. Like it's building like understanding the experience, an experience that a human being has, and designing that experience. But as I learned about different industries, like as a graphic designer, I started to learn about business, started learning about basketball, and you can find the common threads about their processes, pull that into my own process, and then my process gets better.
Like taking inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I
So
see what
then
you're
you'd have to
saying.
be a generalist then, right?
Mm. Yeah, because you would take what do you call it? Inspiration from different fields into your craft.
Like I'm always learning and I'm always searching. Like when
Mhm.
I tell people what I'm doing, like I actually tell them what I'm doing, people like don't understand. But how are you able to do that? It's just like you just add it. It's like as if people it's like as if everyone only worked out one muscle at a time, and one person came in into like chest and they're like, whoa, like, how do you do all the muscles at the same day? It's like, I don't know. I just like started adding them together. It's
Yeah.
like the same thing. It's like you're doing a full body workout, and someone who only works out their left arm is like, how do you do that?
So you're like a multi. You say like you're kind of like a multitasker.
I just like to do things. Like
Okay.
it's as simple as that. It's like I'm
Mhm.
not some fancy like smart ass guy. I just like I'm curious
Mhm.
and I like to do things, and I keep adding on more things, and that's where I'm
Mhm.
here.
Damn.
And people are like, oh my god, what the hell? It's like, well, I think it's just curious, just
Just
pursue
curious.
it. Don't hold yourself back. But yeah,
Mhm.
I think about that stuff a lot, actually.
Definitely, yeah. Like that's interesting. I can see that too because you started off with the was it web design, no graphic design, web design,
Mhm,
and then clothing,
mhm.
and then we
But I'm
started
a
networking
specialist.
with
I'm a specialist.
especially.
I'm a graphic designer. I gotta specialize,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
gotta
yeah,
build that
yeah.
perception.
Gotta build that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now when I meet people, I'm like gonna be more conscious of like what type of person, what part of me do I want to show them?
Mm,
Because if I start off with like, oh yeah, I do this, they're like pick like they won't value me for my work as well because they would
mm.
rather hire the specialist. So I'm just gonna show them, I'm like, yeah, I do graphic design.
And then you surprise them later with, "Oh, I could do this too.
Yeah,
I
they
could
don't
do
know I
this."
do fashion. They don't know I'm learning
Uh,
about investing. They don't know all about all these other things.
mhm.
It's
Yeah,
all
definitely.
perception.
Yeah, like kind of what you give out type thing.
It's all what they think.
Mhm. That's crazy though. Yeah, like definitely
Like
like.
life is just perception.
Mhm.
Everything. Branding is perception. Like, what are the actual fundamental differences between that luxury brands and their products? It's all perception. Like they've done tests where they take two wine bottles, one with a nice label, one with a shitty label. It's the same freaking wine. Two people drink it, they're like, that one's better. They've done Coke and Pepsi. This is like proven. I'm sure you know this.
Yeah,
I'm sure you know
I
this.
think we
With
did
the
talk
Coke
about
and the
that stuff.
Pepsi thing, and they flip it, and they're like, "Oh, Coke's better," but they're drinking Pepsi. It's perception.
It's perception.
Perception is a huge part of our world. Even now today,
Mhm.
when there's all this excess, every product is the same. Why would you buy my product instead of yours? Perception, the branding, everything
Mm.
is perception.
So how would you so for example, as someone who owns a brand, like how would you make sure in a way you can control the perception into for example, how can you convince someone to invest in your brand over another? Like what would you have to do to shift the perception, do you think?
That's a hard question. I think I know, but I don't know. It's in so many things because every person, like what a brand is someone's perception of you, right? So if I meet you and you're really nice to me, and you meet someone else and you're a dick to them, they're gonna think you're a dick. That's
Mhm.
your brand to them, but your brand to me is that he's really nice. So everyone vibes with you in a different way. So my personality might go really well with you. So if I meet you and I'm like really outgoing, really nice, I'd be the best person I can be. You're like, man, I love that guy. I'm gonna support his brand. I can be the same person to another person. They won't like that. So you can't control perception because people are. You can do as much as you can, and it can still go wrong. So you gotta like just keep going and building relationships, especially at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
because I think my like the brand is not strong enough. My personal brand is stronger than the other one, than my brand. So I'm carrying the brand through personality and connections. So I'm showing you what the brand is about by being the brand, like being the brand. That's why it's important that the brand is like pretty much based off who I am, because I don't need to be someone else. I don't need to be what the brand is trying to represent. I can just be myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry about being this cool guy that I'm trying to present myself. I just like I wake up and I just go,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what the brand is. It's just that, and I'm that's working for me. I think. I don't know. It could be all fake. It's all perception,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I wouldn't. It's a lot of it, and it's also like how you treat other people and the opportunities you create for other people. They say always say value, but it's like, how do you
Yeah.
make that person feel valued,
Mm-hmm.
like feel like they're important and that you care.
Yeah. hundred
But I
percent.
think relationships, especially at the beginning, are huge. Like that's all. Even like with really rich people, it's all about relationships and the access that that gives you.
Like building yeah,
Because at the end of
networking.
the day, it's like your network gives you the opportunities that you wouldn't have gotten elsewhere. And
Facts.
sometimes you don't have that network, so you gotta like break in the door. That's
Mm-hmm.
like what I've been doing. It's like fuck the network. It's like if I want to go here, I know you until I'm in.
Mm-hmm. Like you just be going to events and just meeting
Yeah,
people. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Like. Yeah. You definitely
You don't wait for the invite, you go.
you go. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Like I definitely feel that like you just got to be able to network and just being like making friends with people. Like
Mm.
it's one of those things like a lot of people kind of like struggle with this the concept of like making friends and stuff like meeting people, but like I don't know, like you said, it's very simple. It's just like hey, like
You think about it too hard.
yeah,
You
they
just gotta
think
fucking do it.
you just got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you gotta put the reps in. Like I would go to these. I started with this startup scene, and there'd be these
Mm-hmm.
like 4 tables of 8. It's like all these people that look professional, and I'd walk up to it'd be hard. It was hard as hell, but compared to that, everything else is easier. Like it's the whole thing with I forget what it's called, but you work until you can't do it anymore. But if you do something really really hard, it changes your perspective. Now everything else is easier compared to that because it was so hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I did all those things. I did went to those events over and over again. There was times where the conversation would die,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd move to another table, and I'm walking up to the table, and I would just freeze, be like, my anxiety would get the best of me, and then
Yeah.
I literally walked away and went to the bathroom. I looked at myself, and I was like, nah, you got to do this. Walked back, sat there.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was like I just walked up and it's like easy peasy. There
Mm-hmm.
was times where it was like hard as shit, but you gotta find a part in yourself. Like at the end of the day, you can only learn so much. At the you gotta do it. You
Mm-hmm.
gotta make that move. At the end of the day, you gotta find it in yourself. Like a lot of the shit that I do now that people I share with people and they learn from is not stuff that I just woke up one day and had this amazing insight. I was in the moment and I was like, shit. I'm like, let me try this, and it worked. And I'm like, okay, that worked. I'm gonna keep that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally all it was.
Like seeing what works and then
Yeah,
like yeah.
like I was in the table and nobody was looking at me. I'm like, okay, well, how do I get to be part of the conversation? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start asking them questions. And then they started like to treat me like I'm part of the conversation. I'm like, okay, that works. Let's keep that.
Mm-hmm.
I teach someone that. Like, how did you figure that out? I'm like, I don't know. Tried it.
Yeah.
I tried other stuff, didn't work. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah.
just trying. It's like I'm so glad I learned design because I just apply to everything. Like you go into a conversation, and you're like, let's see if this works. It's like iterating. Let's make this design. It doesn't work. Let's try something different. I just iterate my whole life.
Okay. So you kind of just like try this thing, see what works,
If it doesn't work,
adjust
try
it,
something different.
try something
Keep
different.
going.
100%. And you would say like now that you've pretty much, would you say you've built up like a pretty good like network so far, or
No.
no?
It depends on your definition of network.
Like for example, like do you feel like you've met like a lot of people now that you've built like some solid like I guess relationships?
No.
No.
I'm way too new.
Oh, okay.
Like there's brands that have done collabs with the mayor. I'm
Oh,
nowhere close.
okay.
Like I'm still at the stage where if I want something, I have to figure it out on my own. I know people that can help me with things that I wasn't able to before,
Mhm.
but I think your network can always grow. Because like let's say I had the best network in Edmonton, that's only in Edmonton. I go to Vancouver and I'm fucked.
Mhm.
Right?
And that's another thing too. That's another thing that brings me to another point. This is something I've been thinking about. Is like in terms of like being like a creative, or like, how do I say it? Like, I don't know if this is just an Edmonton thing. Maybe this happens in other cities, but I see a lot of times like where people kind of like they'll become like the biggest fish in the pond, aka Edmonton, and then they kind of just stay there, and it's just like, dude, there's like a whole world, bro. Like yeah, you're the biggest fish here, but you go to Vancouver or something, you're the smallest fish, bro. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, but I feel like a lot of people, they get comfortable and they'll be like, hey, yeah, I'm the biggest thing here, and then they don't want to like advance.
There's a quote on that. It's like comfort is the death or something, but that's exactly it. ALEX HORMOZI actually talks about that,
Yeah.
about how you have to be uncomfortable enough to make a change. Like it for the people that aren't in enough pain to want to make a change, then they're just like in the same. But this is actually a point I'm glad we got to about comfort. Like recreating yourself. I had this actually, no, I'm gonna do it from memory, but the suffering and the pain that you go through life makes the success memorable. If you went through life and had, like, look at all those rich people with perfect lives, their lives are a disaster now, and they don't like have no emotional regulation. If you never learn what negative, never go through bad experiences, you never learn, and you can never appreciate the good ones because you have no perspective on what a bad one is. You need the bad and the good equally. But society right now, everything is like, oh, we want to make everyone safe, feel safe, everyone feel comfortable, everyone make like everything's what applies to everyone.
Yeah.
And let's just coast through lives and never try, never take a risk. That's where society is like, I see it going right now, and I'm trying to do something different. It's like, hey, I know you know what you want for your life, but that takes sacrifice and risk, and that's not what lifestyle is today. Because like you can just work a 9 to 5 job, you make just enough money to pay your rent and get food and buy weed, and they're good. Like, and then you watch TikTok all day long.
Yeah.
And you just coast through life now.
Yeah.
That's not, is that life? That's not life to me.
Yeah, no.
Life to me is like actual reality where I fail and I succeed. That's like that's fun. That's fulfilling to me.
Like it's like one big game in a way. You're playing.
That's how business people see it. You can see it however you want. How I see it is it's pretty deep. It's not really deep, but it's like we're all gonna die, right? But how society works is your parents teach you things so that by the time you're their age, you're ahead of them. So you at 20 now are probably ahead of them when they were at 20. Like you know more, right? Like my parents probably didn't know that much about finances, but they taught me financial education. And at 13, they're teaching me financial education when their parents weren't. They had to learn it on their own, but now I don't have to learn it on my own. I'm getting taught by my parents too. And then so now I'm ahead of them. So I leapfrog over them. My children will leapfrog over me. So that's how society grows over time. I see myself as another chess piece in that. Like Virgil, like some chess pieces do more than other chess pieces. They're all important. Like Virgil, he touched more than just his family. He touched kids across the globe. And I see my life going in that way as well, where the sacrifices I have to make in my life will pay off to then benefit others. And so I forgot where I was going with this, but what were we talking about before?
We're talking about
sacrifice?
something to do with like
like coasting, I think.
Being comfortable, because I was talking about like the big fish.
I have no idea how I got into this topic. Holy shit, man.
But no, I see where you're going there. I think
yeah,
you're talking about like people are living comfortable lifestyle and
like how like perception on life.
Yeah.
Like, I see myself as like a messenger. Like I'm not even like the main character.
Okay.
I'm helping the main character, like the next phase, you know?
So you're like, for example, what's the like in the movie Matrix, you're Morpheus to the Neo.
To the Neos.
To the Neos. You ever seen that movie?
Well, look,
Matrix?
if I'm selfish and I just do what I want to do, then it's like kicking the bucket to the next generation. Right? Like if Virgil never did Virgil, I probably wouldn't be here. But because he was there and he inspired me, and I could see like, holy shit, his story, how we got to Louis Vuitton is super realistic. I could do that. Like it's not that hard. It's not that hard. It's not as hard as I thought it was. And that was like a big change in my life. Like, oh shit, I can do this. I just need to be patient. And like learning the lessons. Like if you know, like that's why people like the same thing with Alex Hormozi.
Mhm.
Like the people he's able to touch and the lives he's able to change just with a video and information.
Mhm.
It's the same thing. Like that's able to completely change people's lives. Because if you don't have the information, you can't make the active change in your life. Right? Like if you don't know how your own psychology affects you, how are you supposed to improve yourself? If you don't know anything about psychology or how your own mind works, you're just going to be reacting to things. Someone pisses you off and you react.
Yeah.
You don't know that, oh, I had a bad morning today. I'm more irritated today. I should be careful. And notice when you're angry, shit like that, like emotional regulation.
Yeah.
If you don't know that information, how are you supposed to how are you supposed to know
Facts.
and improve yourself and become a better person?
That's facts. You're just like gonna be like a mouse on a wheel, just turning.
Yeah.
Not definitely. Do you watch Valuetainment?
A bit.
A bit. Okay.
A bit. You watch all the trendy stuff.
Yeah.
Alex
HORMOZI,
Gary V.
Gary V.
Honestly, I don't watch. I like some of the stuff, but they're too like.
It's too basic.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, I didn't want to be. That was a good word though. Gary V is like
it's fluff. I get what you're saying. Like you're kind of more because you're more targeted in what you're trying to learn. If that makes sense. Because you're a fashion guy, I didn't learn about advertisements. You're more focused on like, let me go to the root source.
I've been learning about the economy and like China and stuff like that. So I follow the news. I follow stuff. I follow Valuetainment, but I take what they say with a huge grain of salt. They're very like entertaining in the way that it's like how they got their fame was their character. So they have a really bold character that's really influential.
Okay.
And I see that as like a red flag.
Okay, really?
It's like, well, I'm growing, and I'm really like young men are really. It's easily convinced.
Okay, yeah, very impressionable.
Exactly. So and I know that I'm impressionable, and I see that, and I see what they say, how they talk is like I'm right.
Like this is the way.
Yes.
This is how you.
And in life, there's never one way. Like any advice I can give you that works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. You could do the exact thing that I tell you not to do, and it could work for you. That can totally happen. And I like design teaches you that so hard. Wait, it's like I have people who are not my friends. I always ask them for advice, and they don't know design, but they give me really good advice. And it's like at the beginning it was humbling, but it was like you start to see the value in others that are not skilled, air quote skilled. And the same thing like Gary V, they all teach like one way. It's like this is the way. Yes, that can be the way, but if everyone's doing that, then that's not the way.
Yeah.
Right. Or even, for example, there's one actually kind of bugged me, but recently Bud Light did this collab with this transgender person, and the internet blew up. And there was like people are not buying Bud Light anymore. And Valuetainment was on and like making fun of the marketing girl for coming up with that idea. And I'm like, if she did it and it went right, they would probably be praising her right now. It just felt so fake. That it's like, oh, she failed. Now it's easy. Like, why would you hire her? Like, blah blah blah. It's like really sexist shit. And I was like, you wouldn't be saying that if she
was this on like
it was on Valuetainment.
On Valuetainment. Okay, yeah. Like the Value not Soulscast, or was it?
I don't know. It was, and I was like, shit like that. I'm like, nah. Like you got. I'm really careful with that kind of stuff. Like who I'm watching.
Who you're watching?
I watched actually like watch. I watch like. I used to watch quite a bit of their content, and I moved away from it now. Like they have good stuff on like they cover a lot of stuff. I like their financial expert. I liked him a lot.
Adam Sosnick?
I don't know his name, but no, I think people that's the regular guy. But there's like an older guy with glasses.
Yeah.
But the thing is like they bring him on and then they have him talk about shit that he's not an expert in, and then it becomes just an opinion, and it's like he's here for a reason. Like have him talk about what he loves, and like shut the fuck up.
There's like different sectors. Like there's a comedy sector,
you know?
then there's
and he's like talking about finances and how the real estate market and how real estate market affects stocks. And I'm like, this is like I'm actually learning objectively. But then they talk so much about opinions. Like most of their conversations are opinions, and it's entertaining. But it's like at the end of the day, it's like I'm not really learning anything from this. I just have like one guy who's trying to alpha over everyone else, and it's like just fake. BS. It's just bullshit. And Gary V, I don't agree with his perspective at all.
Really?
Oh hell no.
Well, I don't feel
he's like content quantity over quality. Like 4 posts a day. That's what he told. I know an artist who met him, and he told her that to do like 2 posts a day or something like that. And it's like, okay, yeah, that works for a time, but look, then you have Instagram that's just flooded with shit content that's not that good. And when everything like that, I'm quality over quantity, and maybe quantity. There's a time for quantity over quality. And then maybe there's a happy medium, but it seems like he's really to one extreme. But he's
Like
right.
there are a lot of these
There
personalities are polarized.
is things he's right about.
Yeah.
There is things, especially about social media and where it's moving.
Mhm.
Like, because he works with a lot of advertising agencies,
Mhm.
and they put like they put millions of dollars into these ads, like into these TV ads, TV spots, that if they spent half the amount of money, they would get the same reach on Instagram. And he's right in that. But his perception of like quantity over quality, then you have everyone on TikTok being like, I'm gonna listen to Gary Vee because everyone watches him. Because we think the internet is like unique. We're all in the same bubble. Like everyone I meet watches the same shit. We're not actually watching the like if I went on YouTube and I've been looking at beats for the runway. And all the beats I saw, no matter how specific, was all like a million. So I'm like, what about the people that don't get a million? Like I'm only seeing like the 2% of the best content. What about like the 98% of content we'd never see? Everyone always sees like the 2%. We all are in the same echo chambers. But like shit like that, and everyone then you have everyone and their mother doing like 2 posts a day, just like pumping out content. And it's like, seriously? Like be different. Try something new. Like where's the like there's no value in that, and everyone's trying to chase. And then there's me, I start my brand. I have people telling me, bro, you gotta start a TikTok. You'll blow up. Like, that's not how life works. Like I don't start a TikTok and then blow up. The value in TikTok is that it's more viral based.
Okay.
But the negative part of that is you can build a following of 100,000 and none of those people no one sees your shit.
I mean,
like Instagram is more community based, where my followers are more likely to see my stuff. TikTok is not like that at all. TikTok is more viral based. So on your For You page, most of the stuff that you see on your For You page is not the people you follow.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, what's the point of building a following? Like if there's value in TikTok, but if I'm like, I have really limited resources, why would I try to build a community on TikTok who's not even going to see my stuff? I'd rather spend my time on Instagram, build my community there.
You could do both though. Don't you think?
Yes, that's extra time. I can make stuff, but I do a lot of post content. Like now I'm doing more video, but I wasn't doing video before. And I was focusing more on like photo shoots and images. That doesn't translate as well to TikTok. So I'm like, I'm gonna focus on Instagram and understand this and learn this. And honestly, there might be things that I don't know, and so because of that, I'm naive and I'm missing out on TikTok. But I'm open to that, and now I'm learning more about e-commerce because I feel like I have gaps there. So, just be careful with like when someone tells you it's the right way. Be like, is that really? Is there a better way? What does the guy who disagrees with him think?
Yeah, that's why I always like to. That's kind of the reason why I kind of like gravitate towards the Valuetainment is because like they do bring like I like when they bring on like different like opinions because like I'm the type of person where I'm like I like to hear different opinions just because so then I can kind of just gauge okay, like, what does this person think? What does this guy think? And if they're opposing opinions, it kind of gives me. I want to hear, okay, what are your reasons for why you don't like this thing? And I want to hear what your reasons for why you don't like this thing. And then I'm like, okay, then I can kind of come up with an answer for myself. Like, what sounds more like reasonable to me?
They have some good stuff. I just kind of moved away from them recently.
Okay.
Yeah, like they had some videos that kind of just like bugged me.
Oh, yeah, I don't watch them like religiously, but I'll tune in when it's like, for example, like if I see a topic that they're talking about that is interesting, then I'll click on the video. Like for example, I think the last video I saw, I think they were just it was kind of funny. They were just talking about like politics. They were roasting DeSantis's marketing strategy. Like, that's the last one I saw. But
so like stuff like that, I'm just kind of like whatever. Or like they're talking like conspiracy about the balloons when China popped the balloons and stuff.
Yeah. But with the whole TikTok thing though, like I feel like I see what you're saying though. Like it can be a waste of time, but like I kind of just use TikTok to just kind of like I use both Instagram and TikTok. What I'll do is I'll literally the same content you see on TikTok is the same content you see on Instagram. So I just repurpose it, take the watermark off, put it here.
How do you take it off?
There's actually apps you can take them off. I can show you after the podcast.
Oh, please.
Yeah, there's Instagram, the TikTok conversion, YouTube to bro. Like you can so literally all the content across all my platforms, I just be.
Damn. Yeah, I just never use TikTok. I stopped doing it because like I got like no views and I'm like fuck this.
There's ways to the TikTok algorithm is a little tricky. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's always changing, but I think it's when your best bet is to use like a trendy sound, and then you can just mute the sound, and then you would you know what I mean. You mute the sound, and then the sound in the background. No one will hear it though, but like for some reason it just boosts the views up. It doesn't always work.
You mute the trendy sound?
Yeah, like you'll put for example, what's a trendy sound? Like an Ice Spice song or whatever, right?
Mm.
You put it in the background, but you mute it so that it doesn't get in the way of the video you're actually trying to share. And then that will push you in the algorithm, and then you're more likely to go
To me,
viral.
that makes no sense. Like, why would, if I'm watching TikTok, why would I want to watch more videos with the same exact sound?
I don't get it either, but that's just how I don't know. It's weird. The algorithm it's weird. It's stuck as a weird place.
Mm.
It's weird. Like
I saw this one video from this guy who blew up on
Mhm.
TikTok, and then his like views just dropped off. And he talked about that, where it's like all like viral based.
yeah,
And he's like, well, why did my first one blow up so much and the next one didn't as much? And it's like it's all shares and comments,
Mhm.
so it's engagement. So at the end of the day, it's like you got to get people to share your stuff.
yeah. The views the views don't really
Views don't mean
shit.
anything. There's
Yeah.
no conversion. It's like
Mhm.
0.1% conversion. So the numbers on TikTok mean even
Mhm.
less.
It's crazy because I like when you bring that up, because now it's like you can have a guy that has 100,000 followers on TikTok, and then there's a guy with maybe 20,000. He's probably the guy with 20,000 is probably making more money than the guy with 100,000, because people are actually engaging in this stuff, and he's probably selling
On
more
Instagram,
products.
20,000 on Instagram.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
I was just saying like in general, but like I'm saying like the guy with more engagement, like with an actual like solid fan base that cares, will probably make more money.
Oh yeah. Well, of course. Seth Godin, 1,000 true fans.
Who the?
Seth Godin, he's a marketing guy. You should look into him. He's really
Mhm.
good. He talked about that. You just need 1,000 true fans,
Mhm.
and then you're good.
That's facts. That's 100% facts. Like in this society, we're all focused on like views. Oh, we look at these guys like Mr. Beast. Probably actually Mr. Beast.
If I had 1,000 people buying my product, then I can scale infinitely from that.
Oh yeah, 100%. All you need is like 1,000 people to just believe in your shit,
Yeah.
and
Start local.
that is actually facts. That's. I think that's the I can't even talk. The mindset shift that needs to change is that, like, it's not about the fame. You want to really get people to see the value, and you know what I mean, like to really like connect, like creating a community instead of just like, oh, I'm on some Mr. Beast like fame. He's probably making money somehow.
Oh,
but
he's.
like,
I don't know how he makes money. Like some of his videos aren't even profitable.
yeah,
When
like
he talks about that, I'm like, oh my god.
I just
don't
think
know how you do it.
I didn't even watch his content. Just seems very like
Childish.
yeah, it's very like something like a 14-year-old
Yeah.
would watch.
I like his values though, like because I've seen him talk about videos where he makes no profit, and I'm like good for you, man. Like
Yeah.
so many people are about like expansion and profit,
Yeah,
and it's like maximizing profit. It's like you focus on the creativity and the concept,
yeah,
and the money comes next. You know?
100%.
Like I love brands who do that.
He doesn't even have like a full mansion or nothing. His house is like
Yeah,
decent.
he talks about that with Elon Musk. That's why Elon Musk is so popular.
Mhm.
That's why the people originally like, blew up, because they're more like the common man, more relatable.
100% relatable. Let's see, what other questions have I got on here? We gotta went on a huge tangent, but you answered a lot of these questions.
Yeah.
Let's jump into. I wanted to ask more about like your fashion show. So you want to
Mhm.
tell us a little bit more about that? Like, what is how do you go about planning a fashion show? Are there different artists there?
Mhm.
And like so I'm guessing there's different artists there and they have their models, or like how does the organization of that go?
There's modeling agencies, and they handle the models, because like you wouldn't think like I was like, oh, just hire random people, but there's so much that goes into it.
Mhm.
Like the models, they don't eat when they have your pieces on, because what if you have some random guy just eating your stuff, or just like decides not to show up last minute? So it makes it structured where it's like, okay, I know these models are going to show up. I know they're going to do a good job. I know they're not going to mess with the pieces that they're wearing. I know they're going to respect
Oh, they have
them.
to be responsible.
Of course. That's why it's like you have an agency you work with. So we have an agency we're working with that gets specific models for us. That's the modeling part. That's like the smallest part that I'm not handling. But what goes into like the making of a fashion show, I'm not hosting this fashion show. I'm part of it.
Oh, okay. It's not it's like you're partnering with someone.
No, it's so an artist. So it's actually TK. So Cabral, it's his event. It's a Portal festival. So he's organizing all of this. So
TK. I probably know who he is. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I'll show you. So it's actually right there.
Yeah, bro, I know the yeah.
So that's his event. So it's a market during the day.
Yeah,
It's a runway during from 6 to 7, and then it's a rave at night.
Okay.
And so that I could probably assume what goes into that. So you have to find. So what they have to do is they have to find local retailers to sell at the booths during the day. Then they have to find brands that would want to do the runway. Then they have to follow up with those brands and make sure they're actually creating stuff on time and ahead of schedule.
Mhm.
Then they have to follow up with
So you're collabing with him? Like you guys are
I
working
have a
with him?
runway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, what's a runaway? That's like
It's a fashion show. Like when you have models walk.
So you have like a group of models that you're looking after.
They're wearing my stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then they're gonna walk.
Right.
But mine's gonna be a little bit more fun than that. Because the walking part is like kind of mid, not gonna lie.
The what? What
I
do you mean
delete
mid?
that. She was gonna get mad at me. When I first because like there's value in fashion shows, but when I first got into it, I couldn't understand that.
Mhm.
And so I'm coming with that perspective. It's like, how do I make it more interesting and less of a passive experience, right? Because there's value and merit in a fashion show, but I'm like, how do I take it to the next level? And so someone who's new to fashion, who's going to look at that and be like, I don't understand. How do I help them connect with the event? Because it's a really passive experience, and it's only for the people who know. Those are the people that enjoy it. And so I want to make it enjoyable for everyone. So that's what I mean.
Yeah. I feel like
Not to offend
I would
anyone.
be one of those. I would be one of those people that because I'm like I'm so out of tune with this fashion
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
Like I don't like if I were to be there, I'd be like, what's going on?
Yeah.
How does this work? Oh, we're watching them walk now. Oh, like you
Yeah,
know what I
it's
mean? Like
it's like, what am I supposed to look at?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
just walking by, you know.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to change that. But yeah.
I noticed too in the fashion world, like, and this is no diss to any fashion person or anything, but I noticed that a lot of the maybe this is just my ignorance, but I noticed like a lot of in the fashion industry, just from an outsider looking in, like I see a lot of like there's some people that will wear like these that are into like the fashion niche or wear these out there kind of bizarre like I don't know how to say it without being rude, but like these bizarre, crazy, extravagant. And I'm like, is this really like fashion or stylish? I mean, this is kind of like, would you wear this on a, you know what I mean? Like they wear these, you know what I'm trying to say?
Well, fashion is art. So it's self-expression.
Mm,
So like pushing they're trying to make a statement by like what are clothes? Are they functional? Are they aesthetics?
mhm.
So they're trying to make a statement and say something. It's just like a painting. It's like a painting. Literally, what like high fashion is with fashion designers, to an extent, they're just painting on bodies. It's like a car. It's like the silhouette of a car. How do I
Mm,
when you're doing like automotive design, it's the same thing. It's like how do you use your restriction is the shape of a car, but how do you create within that restriction? With a painting, you have a square. With fashion, you have the body.
mhm. Interesting. So it's like an expression.
Mm.
Because like I'm seeing like when I see some of these fashion guys, they'll have like a jacket and then half, for example, this is an exaggeration, half the jacket's missing and they're just walking around like
Yeah.
some
Like,
crazy
making a statement on what is clothing.
Yeah. So to me, as an outsider looking in, I probably wouldn't understand. Like, but now you explaining it to me, it kind of makes more sense. So I guess it's like a way of self-expression. At first, I was like,
It's art.
"What's wrong with these guys?" But now since you explained it, it kind of makes more sense. Yeah. But how long are we into this now? We're already 30. Let's see.
Hour and a half.
Hour
I
and a
told
half.
you it'd be over an hour.
Shit. Okay,
I fucking told you.
let's start wrapping up real soon. Can we tell people?
We don't have to wrap up. I'm Robin.
I think we should wrap. I think we should wrap up. I got an early morning tomorrow too and everything. But let's see. I'll ask a couple more questions and we'll wrap up. I was gonna ask about like what's it called, streetwear and like what's it called? What's your like what's it called your preferred like what's your style like what is the style that you take interest in? Like I know some people like the streetwear like wearing Jordans, Nike type thing. You know what I mean? And then some people got the oh, he's in the Nikes. I know some people wear like the business casual. They like wearing polos more. Like, what's your kind of like you into as a fashion guy?
I don't know. I just kind of do my own thing.
Kind of do your own thing. Kind of just like
I just like have the same clothes that I wear. I want to be that designer who probably shouldn't say this, but I have no style, but my brand has style.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to.
Okay.
It's all like you don't. Clothes are all like.
It's subjective.
Perception. It's subjective, you know. So. Kind of weird for me to say make a clothing brand, but for me, like with pieces that I'm making, I'm trying to elevate luxury. So when they talk about quiet luxury, like all of like a lot of luxury in pieces they say is timeless, but it's just simple and reserved with no expression. And I think there's beauty in personality and expression. So I'm trying to bring expression and personality into luxury, right? So like little, you have the marble. So it's like people like really success, like a lot of business people, if they wear the same suit and tie, they buy like really bright socks because it's like their one thing, little thing that they can make unique about themselves. You know, in a world where minimalism is king and everything is like the same. As human beings, we want to express ourselves in different ways, and so I'm trying to kind of create, trying to start that and show that hey, it doesn't need to be the same. You know, you can have a piece with like a jacket with like marble on the inside. So when you roll up the sleeves, the marble showing on the inside of the collar. You know, just like subtle little touches, elevating luxury, bringing expression and personality into the pieces that you wear.
Interesting. Yeah, damn. See, that's crazy. I don't know, because when I wrote down this question, I was thinking, this guy's gonna have like a specific like, probably gonna say, yeah, I like my Jordans, I like my, you know what I mean, my Air Maxes type stuff. But
I've never been into fashion until like 2 years ago.
oh, okay, yeah.
So like I was never like, oh, Jordans. I've never owned Jordans.
Shit. Damn.
I don't care. Like I was at a party the other day, and like 3 guys were standing by me, like, what are those? Look at my shoes. They were all wearing Jordans, and I'm like, at least I'm wearing something different.
Yeah.
You're making fun of my shoes. Like you guys are all wearing the same exact shoe.
Exactly.
You know how many other shoe brands there are? And I look at them, I'm like, you know how many there are? Like you all do the same one. Like that's just like following trends. Like think for yourself. Wear shoes that have holes in them. Oh no, I'm still alive.
Interesting.
Like,
That's a
who
different
cares?
perspective. I've never heard like out of all like these like fashion guys, like that's definitely a different perspective I've heard, like where they're into fashion, but they're not like, I don't know how to explain it.
Just being like everybody else. Isn't that weird how like everyone wears the same shoes? Like you go into fashion and everyone's just
The
more
same. He's literally opening my eyes about this fashion stuff. I'm starting to think about it differently.
Yeah.
I think I might. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I might understand this shit now.
That's good on me. That's good on me. That means I'm able to explain this like complex thing we call the fashion scene. Like I'm not even in it that deep. So maybe that's why it's so close to the beginning.
Where it's like you're kind of like in between, and you're kind of like, no, like I've been in the scene for a little bit, and this is what they're trying to say. This is what it really means. It's not this. This is actually what this is. I'm like, and a guy like me is like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Like, it's okay.
I like that. I want to be the bridge.
The bridge, yeah.
I want to be like, that's what my life goal. This is random. But when I die, what I want people to say is like, he inspired me to become this. Because of him, I changed this part of myself. So that's like all I want. So I can actually die happy right now because I know I've already done that. So if I die right now from a heart attack, I don't care. Because I've already impacted the people in my life. And I know that I have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't want to die. I don't know.
Why? Like to go smoke more weed? Like,
no. I ain't about that, bro.
Same, bro.
I just, what's it called? I don't know. I'm just scared of like just dying, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like,
there's afterlife.
Yeah, like I'm a Christian. Like I believe, like
me too, bro.
But it's just one of those. Let's say we're
brothers
in Christ. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like, I don't know. It's just the fear of just this death itself. It's just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just something. How do I say it? It's something you've never experienced before. Like, do you even experience like the feeling? Like, it's just like it's like when you're about to go on a roller coaster and you don't know what's gonna happen. You're like, okay, like, oh shit, like, I'm about to go on this roller coaster. I kind of think about it the same way as death. Where it's like, I don't know how it's gonna feel. I don't know what to expect. Like, is it just lights out? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
That's the exciting part. We don't know.
That's scary.
I don't know, man. For me, it's like, how you're explaining it, it's like, welcome to design. It's like, I don't know how this. It's like I have a brand. I get a briefing. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna create something today. I don't know if it's gonna be good. Let's find out. There's no consistency, and it's just kind of like, I hope I get an idea. I can make it more consistent, but it's like, I don't know. And it's like, well, after all these, like, doing all these experiences, I go to an event where I know nobody. It's like, well, if I don't know what's gonna happen, might as well think positively about it. Because it's like, what? I don't like. What's the difference? If I think negatively, it's just bad. I'm just like, okay. Like with death, it's like, well, we'll see.
We'll see.
There's no point in like being afraid of it. I guess I don't know. Because like I don't know, when I go through life and I experience things, I'm like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And it's always like that, where like every experience I think is gonna be bad is not that bad. So I'm like, whatever. It's probably not as bad as I think it is. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows? And look, let's say it is painful, it won't be forever. Like, and like how I understand that is when I'm doing work and I don't enjoy it, I'm like, next week I won't be doing this. You know, it's like when you're writing an email, you're writing that piece of paper, and you're like, this is so boring, I hate this. It's like, I'm not gonna be writing this paper for the rest of my life. So if I work harder and get it done faster, then it's gonna be over. Right? So it's like when I'm working on something, that's how I motivate myself. It's like, I'm not gonna be doing this next week. So like the same thing with dying, I would say, within reason. Like obviously if you like, I don't know if it take forever to die, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
that's
I'm
kind
not
of how I
gonna be
see it.
dying.
Because it's like, well, it's like not, it's gonna end.
Mm-hmm.
The death from the life to the death, and like the period where you're dying won't be forever.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
I low-key just wish there was a way where it's like,
isn't it fun? Like some things you don't know. Like some like the more and more there's like life is about excess, the more and more we value things that are not that are limited. You know.
mm-hmm.
So it's like maybe it's good to some things we don't know. Like when I was a kid, I was like, okay, listen to this. When I was a kid, I was like, I wish I had to, I wish I would know if girls like me. Because it's like well, that take the fun out of it. Of the game, of the chase. There's no chase if you know. If you can see a little sign, yes, like it's like a green check mark or a red X above a girl, it's like, oh, she's not into me.
Yeah.
It was like maybe she maybe you could like maybe the things like that change. Like I know people who were friends, or like a girl didn't like a guy, and then something happened, and then she liked them, and then now they're married.
Mm-hmm.
If you always if you saw it like red X's and green arrows, then you'd never chase. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I think it would change. It's fun to not know. There's
Mm-hmm.
like potential in that.
Potential and
You
like
know?
not knowing.
Yeah, that's like I work in the world of potential. There's no like blueprint. Every project is different. The only
Mm-hmm.
thing that's similar is my process, and even that changes. I just kind of see the same thing, same way. Exciting. We'll see what happens.
Interesting. So you're into like the unknown type stuff.
That's where I live. I want to be ahead of the zeitgeist. Like work on like man, it's cool. It's like world building. It's like seeing. It's a cool thing about art and creativity,
Mm-hmm.
and like how you see. It's a way of like see the lens in which you can see creativity. Like people that like painters that are like surrealism. Like it's like they're it's like that's the world that they see, but they're freeze framing it and showing you. It's like, hey, this is what I see. But it's like that's what they see all the time, but you get to see like a freeze frame of it. It's like VR,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to like put their headset on.
Put the headset on.
But it's like it's as if I see a world of people, a world where life is this way and people wear these things. But I take what they're wearing and I bring them into the world today. That's kind of how I see creativity. You know, like seeing it like at like a huge level like that, holistically, right? That's when you're talking about different worlds and shit like that. But it's cool to think of like that instead of like in isolation, like a world. You know, what kind of world would someone be wearing like luxury with expression? You know, what kind of world would that be in? Maybe where they're more aware of themselves and they're more conscious. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a different lifestyle. You know, maybe there's no cars. You know, it's like what kind of lifestyle is that, and how to bring that from that world into the world we live in today.
Interesting.
You know,
Very, very interesting perspective.
yeah.
In closing, though, while we close up, I was like, that we're already 2 hours into this, almost 2 hours. But in closing, what advice would you give to someone who's wanting to start a clothing brand and get into the creative space? What advice would you give?
Start, make it, just do it.
Just do it.
Fuck around and find out.
Yeah, find out what happens.
Yeah, it's like it's just that easy.
Mm.
Just try it, fail, try again. Like the most important part is the perspective that you're going into it with. If you're going into perspective of trying to make $1 billion tomorrow, no, good luck. That's not how that life works. That's not how life works.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's like I'm trying to create a legacy in 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
like me. That's kind of my plan.
Mm-hmm. Your 10 year, yeah.
Like if you're trying to create something for the long time, that changes your perspective. Then it's like if you fail, that doesn't matter. In 10 years, like, okay, look, I bet in high school when you failed a presentation, you were super embarrassed. You look back now, you don't even notice it.
Yeah.
100%. So if you see at 10-year level, it's like if I fail now, in 10 years, I won't even remember this moment of failure. So then it just puts life into perspective, and it's like it doesn't really matter if I fail and learn. That's how you take that perspective and apply that to building a brand. It's like, well, why would I do that? That's what a brand is. A brand is not a 5-year thing. A brand is a brand that's been built over an extended period of time. Like, people shouldn't even use the word brand when they're talking about stuff that they're making. No one's building a brand. They're selling a product, trying to make money. They're trying to make money, not trying to build a brand. And you could tell. Look what I'm doing compared to what everyone else is doing. It's not even like I'm not even trying to boast about it because it's like objective. You can see all these other like clothing companies. It's a picture of a white background. Where's the theme? Where's the story? I'll Call You Tomorrow is doing a great job. Existing Condition is doing a great job. They don't do photo shoots in a white studio. They do like they're trying to build a story. That's a brand. Coca-Cola isn't a white can with like a word on it. It's red. Well, the fuck is red? Yeah, Santa Claus. Like they have campaigns around red, right? They have a concept like sharing happiness, and it's not just like an isolated thing. But I have everywhere around. I see people around me. They just use the word brand, but that's not what they're building. They're just selling products. Like, so then the word me has no meaning then. So actually figure out what you're trying to do and don't do it because other people tell you to do it or you think it's cool or you want to make money. Make it for the right reasons.
That was powerful. That was definitely wow.
Mm.
You really about that? That's what I was saying. Like, what, like out of all like these, like when it comes to like you actually like read into this shit. Like I noticed like because like when it comes to like brands and stuff, like you've like I like when that Coca-Cola stuff, like I didn't even know like the brand was like about like happiness, like Santa Claus and stuff like that. Like I didn't even know the story, but it goes to show that you actually like go and like take the time to research.
I knew this before I started a brand.
Oh,
So that's the advantage that I had is like I've been in the design scene for a long time. And branding is my thing. I love brands. So I would like there's all these YouTubers that just do case studies, Coca-Cola, Walmart, and how they became to what they are today.
Mhm.
And there's case studies on their marketing strategies because I love strategy and consulting and what McKinsey does.
Mhm.
And so I take that. So I've just been learning in the past all the time about like, well why is Coca-Cola big? Well, how this shit tastes the same. How are they so big? You know,
Mhm.
like figuring it out. Like it's like that. It's a holistic experience that they're creating because they don't. Like, the thing that I love about branding is in the markets where every company has the same product. Why is a customer buying something else if it's the same thing? That's so fascinating to me. And so that's like when I talk about Coca-Cola. Well, they have the happiness thing, and so like every commercial is like around that sort of concept. And then Santa Claus is like a huge marketing campaign for Santa Claus with Coke. It's a
Mhm.
huge thing. They do it like every Christmas.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's like they have a concept, you know. Um, and for me, it's the same shit. It's like you could look at my photo shoots now. You look back, my first photo shoots. It's like that is not really a concept. Yeah, that makes sense. I was starting out. We did our first photo shoot was at Walterdale Bridge because I was like, okay, what is a place that has like a lot of different environments? So I think Walterdale Bridge is like a great place to do a shot because you have like nice environment, nice background. You can get different lighting if you choose sunset during the day. So
Mhm.
we actually got daytime shots, sunset shots, and nighttime shots by starting at like 5 p.m. So we hit at the end of the day, then we got sunset, then we got nighttime. And so now I can like scale it on my feed and like change it. So I can have like I can start to get darker feed by going using the sunset in row. Then you have the top of the bridge, then you go down, and there's this platform with the lights on the ground. There's another position. I did some shots to the trees with the leaves, another position. You go onto the bridge, so it's like in the same environment, you get 3 different locations you can play with.
Mhm.
And so and figuring out okay, how do you manage? And that was learning where I was like, okay, how do I manage a team? How do I manage a photographer? How do I plan a photo shoot? What the hell? How does it even work? Then I took that learning and applied it to my next shoot. Completely different. It's all black. You have one light above. So I was like, I went online and I just researched and built like a board. Like, okay, I like these shots. I like how this shot does this. And this is the mood that it creates. It's like mysterious and dark and quiet. That's a kind of
Mhm.
that's
I
the theme
noticed
I'm
you're
trying to
into that
create.
kind of like that.
I'm moving away from that. I think it's sometimes it's too dark, so I'm bringing more color into it.
Okay.
But um,
Based on the photo you sent me for the
yeah.
thumbnail, I was like, damn, how do I make a thumbnail for this shit? This shit's dark.
I actually don't like pictures of myself, and so that
Oh,
one
okay.
hides my face. That's why I sent it to you.
Oh, okay.
That's the best you're gonna get. I hate pictures of myself. I don't. That's why I like the camera not facing me. Like, I probably won't even rewatch. I might rewatch this, but I don't like seeing myself. But anyways, and just like figuring it out, being okay. Well, how do I get a light above? It's like, what if I get my dad's construction light? Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, what if it's too bright? Let's get some paper. You know, and it's like, okay, well, I need a chair. I go run down in the
Mhm.
school, take a chair from the cafeteria, you know, and I'm like, bring some friends, they're photographers. I'm like, okay, let's shoot it like this. Okay, let's change it like that, right? And we just like take blackboards to the wall,
Yeah.
and then we just figured it out, and it worked. It went so well. That's my second photo shoot. I haven't done one since then.
Okay.
But it's fun. It's cool.
Yeah, definitely enjoying the process.
Exactly. Yeah.
In closing, though, where can the people find you?
Rebirth.drip on Instagram. Mathieu Swaby on Instagram. So it's Mathieu, it's my French name. But you can just go to Rebirth, and my at is in the bio, which is Rebirth. Type in Rebirth, and I'm the first one.
That'll all be linked down below. Rebirth. But yeah, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me
And sharing. This podcast had a lot of value. Definitely, I feel like if you're watching this, you know, if you're into the fashion stuff, like this
self-improvement and mindset.
Yeah, and mindset.
I want to be a better person. Who doesn't want to?
Oh God,
who doesn't want to be a better person?
Gotta be. You know what I'm saying? This definitely had a lot of, man, it's gonna be so fun breaking this into clips. So I stay tuned. But yeah, if you're new, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. And yeah,
see if there's any questions from people.
Oh yeah, word. See if we had any.
Where is this? Check comments done. Where is this? Secret location. I don't know, when was this?
Oh shoot, that yo, shout out DKT, bro. Yo, DKT was on the podcast. I gotta have him back on too, bro. Shout out DKT. He's killing it right now. He's already hit 4,000 subscribers. He's consistent as hell, bro. Like, bro,
on YouTube.
Yeah, he's from Edmonton too.
Oh shit.
Consistent, like, bro. He's one of those guys that like, he actually is inspiring. Like, he's uploading every single day. Like, there's not a day that I don't see this guy upload. Like, he's killing it right now.
For sure.
Shout out to you. But yeah, with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. I always forget how to end. Oh, there it is.